Hello, hello. Welcome to Sobriety Bestie. I am Kirsten, and this video is about what rehab is like, what my experience with rehab was like, what rehab was like for me specifically. And so I went to rehab on September 29th, 2009. So 13 years ago this week, I would have been in rehab. I was in rehab for 30 days. I went to a rehab facility that no longer exists. It was in Malibu, California. I specifically went to that rehab because I wasn't interested in anything to do with alcoholism, Alcoholics Anonymous, 12 steps, God, all of that. Wasn't like, no, thank you. I was really clear when I was in rehab that the entire time, when everyone would go around, hey, I'm Frank, I'm an alcoholic. I'm Jan, I'm an alcoholic. I'm Tamika, I'm an alcoholic. I was like, I'm Kirsten. I'm here for anxiety, thanks. And so I didn't really relate to the term alcoholic, alcoholism, any of that, and I didn't want to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. And so my friend knew that, my friend who signed me up for rehab, right, who helped me get into rehab, who called around rehabs for me, and she found this one specifically because it was non-12 step. I also had this idea because this was 2009. This is a little bit after Britney Spears had the envelope, shaved her head and hit that car with the umbrella, right? So I knew Britney was having a hard time, and I felt like we were supposed to be friends, and I knew she lived in Malibu, so I was like, maybe I'll meet her in rehab. So my first day of rehab, you can click up here and watch that video. I've already gone into detail what it was like to be checked in and that whole process and meeting the roommates, the housemates, all of that. This video is more like the general experience of what rehab was like for me at the rehab place that I went to. All rehabs are probably a little bit different or have different things. And obviously, depending upon where you go, what the core philosophy of the treatment center is, and how much you pay, right? There's going to be different things, what's included, and what country you go to rehab in. So it's not one size fits all. They're all different. But I only have experience with one place. So this is about my specific experience with the treatment center that I went to in Malibu, which is no longer in business. The first week there was known as Detox Week, right? And so all my friends would talk about how they were on detox meds the first week. Some of them it was more rough than others. Some of them it wasn't that big of a deal. It all depends upon what you used, how long you used it for, what your relationship was, and what were you using it like frequently. Most people there were there for alcohol. I think there were 5 people in my house. There were 2 rehab houses in the same business. One down the hill, we were or down the street, right? And so there was, I think 5 or 6 of us in my house, but it changed, right? Because new people come and people leave. It was about 30 days is what people stayed there for, or it could be 60 days. And so I was confused because I wasn't on the detox meds. I wasn't on detox week. My very first night in rehab, I went to music therapy, and my friend said that their first night in rehab, they were detoxing in their room. There was a technician nearby them. Everybody else went to music therapy or art therapy or whatever the group therapy was called that night, right? Because we had therapy every day. And that they were surprised that I was joining. And in fact, my entire first week, I was participating in everything that they were doing. I was, we did have art therapy. We went to the beach. We went to the gym. We did all the different things, and I didn't sit anything out. I kept just going, and they never told me to sit anything out. So I asked my therapist, I said, well, how come I'm not, doing this detox week? Everyone's talking about detox week. Even the people who came for alcohol all talk about their first week detoxing and on the detox meds. And she says, Kirsten, you came in on the detox meds. We use benzodiazepine to detox people from alcohol. You've been taking the detox meds for 2.5 years. So we're leaving you on your detox meds for the first week. You are in detox now from alcohol. After the first week, when we would normally take people that 1 week that the people would be on benzos to detox from alcohol, then we're going to detox you from the detox meds. That's a separate detox. So you're already on the detox meds. And I got so livid. I was like, no, these are from my doctor. These are from my psychologist. Or my psychiatrist. I've been on them for 2.5 years. No, I need these. And they said, we're your doctor now. You're going to be detoxing from the detox meds. You're going to be getting off benzodiazepines while you're in rehab. So that started on week 2. I had a lot of feelings about that, a lot of thoughts about that. I have a whole playlist about getting off benzos, and I tell my whole benzo story up here if you want to know more about detoxing from benzos, benzo withdrawal symptoms, side effects of benzos. All that is on the benzo playlist. So this video is more about just generally what happened at rehab. So then I went through a benzo withdrawal in rehab. I still participated in most things. There was one time that I was having like significant withdrawal symptoms where I was like holding a piece of paper in group and shaking. So that was intense. Other than that, I went to pretty much everything. We had in the morning, we got to vote if we wanted to go to the gym or to the beach. We were maybe a 20-minute drive to the beach. We were in the hills of Malibu. So like think there is nothing, if you were gonna run, there is like nothing around us. There was nothing at all, just coyotes, like in any direction. You would probably like get eaten by a coyote before you would find alcohol, right? Okay, maybe not. But so we would vote on whether we went to the gym or to the beach. If we went to the beach, it was very supervised. We'd go like do a group walk, right? Remember there's like 5 of us. So so there was physical activity that was like for an hour that we'd get to do that. We had group therapy every day. I think group therapy was twice a day, like in the morning and the afternoon. And then we had one-on-one therapy once or twice a week with our therapist. Then there were other activities. We ate meals together. There was a cook there. So we had breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. And we'd have homework. Like the first homework assignment that I had was to do an autobiography, to kind of walk through kind of basically like a book or a journal about the worst experiences of my life or the lowlights of my life. And so basically my relationship with alcohol and what that was about. And then my therapist would go through that and she's like, what's the one common thing on your autobiography? What is the one thing you notice here? I'm like, I don't know. I was drunk a lot. She's like, no, you were never safe. Like the way that you drank and the circumstances that you were in and how alcohol affected you, you weren't safe. So that's when I really got to see that like I didn't have a safe relationship with alcohol. Alcohol literally made me feel safe in my skin because I was dysregulated. I was so uncomfortable in my skin, and alcohol calmed the anxiety down. But it didn't actually, then it put me in harm's way. I didn't recognize that I was in harm's way, so alcohol wasn't safe for me. Our first meeting of the day started probably around 9 a.m., something like that, but we all woke up early. I'm not sure what that was about, but we'd get up at like 5 at like the crack of dawn, and we'd go out to the table outside, like all 5 of us, and we just chain smoke and drink coffee and shoot the shit all morning. We had a really long, steep driveway coming up to the house that the rehab center was at. And so some of us would like walk down the driveway and walk up, do a little bit of exercise, watch the sunrise together. We were allowed to have visitors once a week. And then on one of those days, my brother lived in Los Angeles at the time. So he rode his motorcycle out. He came all the way out to Malibu and we met and talked together. We also had AA meetings once a week that you didn't have to go to. Like a speaker would come from AA or a member of Alcoholics Anonymous would come to the rehab, and it was an optional thing that you could go hear them talk. Usually they didn't talk at all because nobody went. So I went once and I remember I like drilled him. I was like, why do you call yourself an alcoholic? That's a bad name. Why would you identify with that? Like alcoholism is a bad word. Why would you say that? I was really confused about why you'd want to be associated with that word. That was my, thinking at the time. And then we had an optional AA meeting that was an actual meeting, not like a random member of AA that would come to speak at the rehab, but an optional AA meeting that they could drive us to once a week at the treatment center. And nobody really wanted to go. Like this was a very anti-AA vibe at the rehab center. That's it's unique, or at least it was unique in 2009, according to my friend who called around rehabs to find a rehab that was non-12-step, non-AA. So a lot of the people who went to this rehab went specifically because they had gone to a rehab before that was involved with the 12 steps, or they felt like AA or NA had failed them. So they were specifically at this rehab center for that purpose. So the vibe was, we don't do AA. So I adopted their vibe. They were my new friends. We had so much in common. These were the first people that I was ever really, really honest with. So if they weren't going, I wasn't going. That was like cool. Plus I didn't want to be an alcoholic. I didn't want to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't think anybody wants to go to Alcoholics Anonymous who has never been. It's not like a destination that anyone's ever as a kid. It's like, I hope one day I get to go to AA. Like it's not, it's like the end of the rope, right? Nobody wants to be an alcoholic. And so there was an optional AA meeting once a week, and I did go the last, I think it was a Tuesday night, and I got out on a Thursday. The last Tuesday night, I did go to that optional AA meeting because there was one new guy in the rehab center who was interested in AA. So I went with him because I thought, I liked him. He was my buddy. I thought he was cool, so he was going to go. I'll pop it up here, my first ever AA meeting, if you want to watch that and more about that story. So I went to that. So my overall feeling of being in rehab was relief. Like I didn't have to, like, and hope. I didn't have to keep like hiding my drinking. I didn't have to, I I started feeling a little bit better. I mean, I was going through the Benzo withdrawals and I didn't actually feel good all the time. I was super anxious, but I also felt better, if that makes sense. Like both things were true. Like it was hard and difficult, but also like I wasn't hungover and I had this like new, like I felt the shame, a lot of the shame was gone and a lot of the guilt was gone because these people were like-minded. They were also dependent upon alcohol, addicted to alcohol, abusing alcohol like me. And I had this like vision for the future that maybe the future could be better. So I did feel like crappy, but I also felt like amazing, you know, at the same time. Like there was a lot of hope, even though there was a lot of anxiety. So I felt relieved. I would say I really felt relieved. Like the jig is up, right? Like it's over. I don't have to keep doing what I was doing anymore. And maybe there is a way out and maybe there is more life ahead of me. And it was really nice to bond with people and be honest. I felt like there was so much dishonesty before I got sober. I felt like I had to cover how much I was drinking and then all the consequences of it and all the, you know, losing cell phones or whatever was happening when, you know, like none of that was happening in rehab. So I just felt a lot of like a sense of peace, a sense of freedom, a huge sense of relief. And then the camaraderie, you know, laughing with people, joking with people, like having this like it felt like a true connection, you know, or being honest with these people for the first time. And so whether like you're watching this because you actually are considering going to rehab, or maybe you're in rehab watching this if they let you use the internet, right? Or maybe you're not, but you want to get sober, or you're in early sobriety. The camaraderie was really helpful, like the like-minded connection. So whether you get that through a recovery meeting, whether you get that through maybe you want to leave a comment below, and you can get that through commenting with other people and connecting in the comments, or reading the comments below the video, or if you feel the courageous enough to write a comment below, like connection with community. Find a community of people who are going through something similar to you and bond with those people. Like that was like, it was so healing. It was so healing to know that I wasn't alone and I wasn't the only one who was doing that kind of stuff. And you definitely don't need to go to rehab to get that feeling, but that feeling was really, really helpful in my recovery, in my healing, in the very early days of sobriety. So wherever you're at on your healing journey and your sobriety journey, if you're sober, how sober are you? How long have you been sober? Today, as of making this video, it is October 2nd. So it is, I am 13 years and 4 days sober, which seems crazy. You know, like 4 days, I could get 4 days before I got sober. But getting like a week was like I could get 4 days sober and then I'd drink 4 days sober. Like it was like weird binges at the end. But like a week sober was like a miracle. 30 days sober was unheard of. 90 days sober was like, no fucking way. So if you want to put how long you've been sober in the comments, join the conversation. Wherever you're at on your journey, I wish you much peace and freedom on your healing journey. Yeah. You might want to check out the playlist I have. I have a playlist on early sobriety and a playlist on emotions in sobriety. Maybe that's something that you vibe with.